Let's get perspective on this trend right now. Retail Wire CEO Dominick Miserandino joins us. Dominick, welcome to the show. We appreciate it. Let me put a screen up from a Morgan Stanley analyst. This is via Axios. The quote here is, "This is likely to be the summer of value, or maybe a year plus of value, draw more price-sensitive customers back to fast food." So let's start there and we'll broaden it out to retail. What's going on?
Well, you have to think pricing is not simply supply-demand. Pricing has a psychology component to it. I've dealt with quite a few people, as CEO of Retail Wire, in the pricing world. And pricing has that psychology. So it's sometimes we make a direct correlation. Oh, they dropped it by 50% and thereby it's cheaper or not. But you have to think we want to get them in the door. We want to have that $5 Happy Meal, get people in the door. Maybe you're get people in for the Happy Meal and then they buy something else with it.
Because when you ask people, which we have, it goes back a little ways, maybe a month or so on polling, what type of purchases do you cut back on? Restaurants are right at the top of the list. That's what they think of first. 72% said restaurants, 68% said entertainment, 55% said groceries, 52% said travel. So those are right at the top of their list before they think about what they're shopping for. So we knew McDonald's is probably pretty cheap to begin with, but not now, not with inflation. So even they got to get in on it.
Well, and that's it. It's perception. We're not saying, oh, I wish it was $2 cheaper, $1 cheaper. McDonald's also the industry leader at such things. What they do, the world follows. So they certainly are showing and leading the pack and saying, this is what we got to do to get people in the doors.
What about the broader issue? We said retailers. We mentioned some Walmart, IKEA, and others. I think we have a screen here, prices on when you're talking about goods versus services. So what are you seeing in kind of the broader trends here of how companies are dealing with this issue, which I'm sure many of them thought wouldn't be still around? Here's the percentage change in the consumer price index. So inflation is still an issue, even if it's not as big of an issue as it was.
And you hit the spot, you hit nail on the head with that. I mean, it's an issue, but still not as big. It's not as big of an issue as it once was. And that is in the consumer's mindset. And it kind of depends where you're feeling that. If you're a commuter and you're spending a few $100 a week on gas, you're feeling it pretty good. And so it really does depend where you're at with that feeling. And I think that's what's so critical in this conversation, that we are sometimes matching pricing to feelings. And certainly us consumers are feeling it, and they've been going through it for a while. And I certainly think most of society in the world is exhausted ever since COVID. So now we're just trying to get through. And, there's also a function of time. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, it's not as bad as it has been in whatever decade we might reach it back to.
So maybe you look at the numbers, and it might feel bad, but you look at the numbers and say, well, it is getting a little bit better. And if you start to think about it and analyze it for yourself, if you're working and you're, bringing in a decent household income, maybe to the point we started with, maybe you can get some pretty good deals this summer in a lot of different places.
Absolutely. And that's where feelings to me is sometimes even a lagging indicator at times. You don't notice it till you kind of look after a few paychecks. But yeah, there are deals to be had when you gave the McDonald's example. But if you look in the right places, travel is up. You were reading the report, travel to Italy is like at a record for the past 4 years. We're all refiguring out this getting out in the world for the past few years, reconnecting in the past few years. And I think that's emotional component certainly is also surpassing it. I want to go out and enjoy time with my family, which I might not have done at certain points since COVID.
Yeah, and we were still in a pretty good spot, I guess, generally speaking, not everybody, but a lot of people had a lot of cash that built up during COVID too. So how does that factor into this environment that we're in right now?
I think it's a lot of people have a lot of cash, and a lot of people have a lot of emotional storage of that time. Oh man, this is worth me going to Disney. It's been X number of years since I've been there. I can't wait to go. So you certainly have that build up too.
Right, and then you get a pretty good deal, and you stop at McDonald's on the way there for $5, and you can get your meal. So
thank you, Tom. Right.
We'll work all the stories together, the price wars, such as they are. Well, yeah, once one starts, the other one follows. That's what we're seeing. And you're right, McDonald's is a leader, even if it's following in this case a little bit. Thank you, Dominick. Good to see you.
Exactly.
Thanks for coming on. All right, as we come up to the top of the hour.